All right, welcome in to the Crowded Booth reaction show. Georgia Tech falls to Georgia 16-9. My name is Bryce Koon, as you can see right there, and that's Will Maness. We got to take that thing off. Let's get that thing out of here real quick. But obviously, let's just kind of start right here, Will. Shout out Section 103 making all these things happen for us and continuing to support the Crowded Booth. Saw a lot of Section 103 gear out there tonight as well. So.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. All right, let's dive into this game really quickly. Instant reaction show. Let's talk about this. We just literally got back up here to the press box, talking with Brent Key, talking with Haynes King, talking with EJ Lightsey. I want to start off with this, nothing about the game, Will, but I think you and I are both kind of like, it's really hard not to like Haynes King and what he's meant to this university, this institute. 3 years, you could tell the emotion, the pain in his voice. They want to finish out strong. Heck, guys, I mean, they have a chance to go win double-digit games. And I think if you would have told a lot of portions of the fan base that at the beginning of the year, in the summer, you would have loved that, right? And that would have been phenomenal. Obviously, in season, your goals shift a little bit because you get to see what you're capable of. But I guess just your thoughts on Haynes King in general.
Haynes King is awesome. Another media member said it best. He's a football player's favorite football player. This guy, I don't know what the NFL has in store for him, but very, very confident that he would be a great coach if he wants to go into coaching. Obviously, the heart and soul of this Georgia Tech team, great leader. He's never backed down from any challenge, and he was asked this question and asked about this and answered it really well, that he's a big reason for the success of the last 3 years, and he's great. He's nothing but thankful. Georgia Tech took a chance on him after a rocky start to his college career, and has really put together a really, really nice career.
I think the best way to put it, and I'll probably end up writing about this for tomorrow, Georgia Tech took a chance on him, and he took a chance on Georgia Tech and Brent Key and this staff. And, once you get past the emotions of not ever seeing him play in the city of Atlanta again, it's who knows? Maybe this team will draft him right here. But we're here in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
You think they're going to make a good draft pick?
I think it's best we don't get into that. But anyways, Haynes King ends his regular season career for Georgia Tech here in Mercedes-Benz. And I guess kind of the story of this game, Will, is really, let's just start offensively. I want to preface with this. Georgia's defense is really, really good. Outside of Haynes King, I believe they could barely run the football. I mean, Jamal Haynes, 7 carries, 11 yards. We got the stats here in front of us. Jordan Allen had the 1 carry for 8 yards. Hosley had 3 for 6. Malik had 1 for 6. I mean, just outside of Haynes King, and he had only, he had the most rushes, 10 for 39. And Brinky said, what run game? He was asked the question, and you could tell that's a painful thing for him to admit that his type of team, his brand of team, can't run the football, and they couldn't do it tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's because Georgia's really, really good. Yeah. Brent Key asked about that. He kind of answered he kind of said they didn't execute as well, but I think it's more how good Georgia is. I mean, we saw it on the field before the game. I mean, until you're on the field and see it in person up close, how big Georgia is. I mean, Georgia is big first, second, third string. Tech's first string, pretty big. Second, third string, it's not there yet. And that Brent Key is still building. He said he was asked, how do you keep growing, keep getting over the hump? He says, recruit, coach better. So obviously still building, still hungry. That's what you want to hear as a Tech fan.
Yeah, he was asked the question, essentially, what can you do to be better? What can you attempt to try to do and, not just be better at, but to reach your ultimate goal of a program and recruit, build depth. And, I think coming into this game, we kind of saw that this was a team that had an opportunity to challenge Georgia, and they did in a lot of different ways. I mean, defensively, we'll get to in a second, they put some stress on it. And I talked about in the preview show, like they're going to have to put some stress on Georgia's defense. They didn't stretch the field enough, not enough explosive plays, and just really one of those games where what's the saying I love? I've had all year, you played them in the phone booth, and this year Georgia won. Last year you beat them in that category. They whooped you up front, especially your offensive line struggled to maintain block integrity. Gap integrity was tough there as well. I mean, I think it just comes down to straight up, Georgia just beat you in that category. You got to be better and go back to the drawing board, maybe be more creative. I will say this, the bright spot for me, Isaiah Canyon, Tech, you better pay him. You better pay him because that kid is really good. 4 for 54. We were down in the field pregame. He is every bit as advertised in terms of the size and the length category. They have some pieces. And obviously, we'll talk about next year as we get more into the offseason. But I guess just any final thoughts on offensively? Offensive line just they just couldn't keep they couldn't allow King to go through the reads. You saw it rushed his progressions and just kind of a sloppy game offensively.
Yeah, it starts up front. Haynes King, Georgia sped him up. That's what you want to do defensively. Looking at Haynes King, who was 19 of 27. Look at his 19 completions. Only two were over 20 yards. 30 yards on the first completion to Brett Seither in the opening drive, and then the last completion of the game went for 28 yards. And then there's only 2 passes in there that went over 15 yards. And we've talked about this offense, their inability to stretch the field. When you're playing a good defense like Georgia, especially when you're a run-first team like Georgia Tech is, if you can stretch the field, you can have more success. And Tech just didn't have it.
They didn't have it. Quick questions we're going to get to here. Joey asks, Bryce, why has Felton not played all year? We had him on the show last year when he committed. I thought he was a tremendous athlete. Obviously needed some molding, a little bit raw in terms of that category. But Brent Key talked about injury or not to Clayton Powell-Lee. They felt like he was going to be a guy that was ready. I thought he played well. I even asked the question to Key in the postgame presser, hey, I think you charged your defense this week. What did you think about the play of the secondary? And he thought they did well. He was tied for the third leading tackles, 6 of them, 4 solo. Was involved in a lot of plays, played downhill against the run really well. And look, you flipping it over to the defensive side of the football. And the last thing I will say this, I'm not going to put that comment up because that's inappropriate for the airwaves, but you can't settle for field goals. That's the last thing I would say offensively. Like, obviously in hindsight, you'd love to go get a touchdown there. You're trying to play to give yourself a chance to go win the game at the end. And they did have a chance there at the end to try to go win the football game. But man, if you just think if you could convert one of those field goals into touchdowns, hopefully not, but maybe we're still playing. We were last year, in fact, but it's one of those things where you could have forced overtime. Maybe you win the game in regulation. But flipping it over to the defensive side of the football, Will, I thought that obviously Felton played well. The linebackers played better in this game. We talked with E.J. Lightsey, Kamen Spalding had a nice game. Just overall, man, I mean, you had a lot of guys get involved. The depth was tested in this game, and I mentioned this too to Key, and he kind of felt like their secondary played well. Gunnar Stockton didn't have a great game, and he was pulling the ball down and running more often than I thought he would. And I thought it was a result of Tech playing some really good defense on the back end.
Yeah, look, saying the same thing said about Haynes King. Georgia only had 2 passes of over 20 yards. So I think the secondary did a really nice job. But I think that starts up front. You talk about the linebackers played a lot better. That helps out the secondary a lot. But we were kind of saying this during the game in the Discord. I think Georgia was just played this game just to get out of here and be healthy. It felt like the times when they pushed the pedal down offensively, they executed and they got big plays out of it. But that doesn't mean Tech made it easy on them. Yeah. I think that defensive line, those linebackers, I think they played really well.
Yeah, I think the one thing is, especially in that second half, anything that Georgia wanted, right? And they only had, I was reading the comments, they only had 3 points in the second half. They had to work for it, and that was the biggest thing, right? So it's one of those things where you kind of take it from now. Where do you go from here? Defensively, there's some things to grow on. The bad part about it, it's the end of the season. You got a scoreboard watch now to get into Charlotte and play for an ACC title. And then obviously on the other side of things, you got to get a bowl game, which all indications, Will, you said this, you've been at the last 2 Tech games. The Pop-Tarts Bowl has been well represented. So you have the chance to go in the season with double-digit wins. And in year 3, fully under Brent Key, I mean, I think that is a tremendous thing. It's obviously disappointing in the moment, but the bigger scale, the 30,000-foot view, it's something very big. So, kind of wrapping it all together, they've got a chance to go play really well. I thought they bottled up really everybody except for Nate Frazier. Heck of a game, was physical running in between the tackles. McCray had a nice night as well. And, to your point, I think Georgia did pretty much after that interception, I felt like, and there's no insight to this, that Bobo and that staff were kind of like, hey, we're not going to put the ball in harm's way, because if we give them an opportunity, they might just take it and they might go win the football game. And they trusted their defense, which ultimately worked out for them. So that's the game, 16-9 live here from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. A tough one for Georgia Tech fans to swallow, because even with all the negativity coming out of last weekend, and you were there for that one, I think the frustrating part about it is, man, you look up, even after a bad performance defensively last week, and you just held the number 4 team in the country to 16 points. Frustrating. You didn't get the complimentary football you wanted, but I guess any final thoughts going ahead? Why is it important to go in this season with double-digit wins in your mind?
I think it really shows and puts a bow on how far Brent Key has elevated this program from where he took over. It's it's going to be a great way for Haynes King and the rest of the senior class to go out on a high note, and just really it's like an exclamation point at the end of it. Like, if Tech goes to the Pop-Tart Bowl, it's a great bowl, right? There's nothing to be upset about by qualifying for the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And it's going to be just a perfect end to a really, really good season.
Not the ending that Georgia Tech fans wanted. You get to scoreboard watch. We need some chaos to happen here as well. Joey says Will belongs on Sports Center. He's dressed professionally. We appreciate everyone for hanging out with us all evening long. And the Discord, make sure you join it down there, link below. Check out our sponsors, Section 103, Cajun Cousins, and obviously our friends at MacArthur Woodworks. Get those orders in by December the 9th, by the way, if you want to get that custom gift for your special someone. And, whether it's a mom, dad, family member, something like that, make sure you take advantage of those things. So we appreciate you for tuning in all season long. We'll obviously continue to have coverage next week. Tomorrow we will be in Auburn, Alabama. Doubleheader action here on Rivalry Weekend post-Thanksgiving. Hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving as well. And we will catch you next time here on Swarm Talk, brought to you by the Crowded Booth.